The all-new BMW X5. Here I'll show you different colors, trims, exterior, interiors, all the different powertrains. We have them lined up right here, special interior deep dive, and we will take it on a spin here for the very first time, both the combustion engine and also the all-electric version here today. And I have to say something up front about the iX5, the electric one. We will drive it today and do a first consumption and real-world range test. And even me, it doesn't happen so often, I'm extremely surprised about what we can score up. It will be really crucial. Soon more about that. And later to come, a very interesting interior inside, different trims, different colors. Also here these M Sport, sporty seats, Alcantara, Veganza combination, all the details very soon. With Thomas Nautical Fuel in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with the different powertrains and the different looks on the exterior. And if we begin on the right side, the right one here is the plug-in hybrid model and also the M Performance model. You have the plug-in hybrid as a normal plug-in hybrid and then the M Performance plug-in hybrid with even more power. The latter version will not be available on the North American market. Why? The M Performance model there will be predominantly the V8 pure combustion engine, which is to come later as well. Interesting difference is that when you have a combustion engine, petrol, diesel, petrol plug-in hybrid here, you have the opening here in the top part in the front. The lower one is always there, in this bar as well. But here the top opening, there you can see that's the combustion engine model. And here the M Performance model, here has this light strip that goes here horizontal. You have the iconic glow, and depending on what you have, M Sport Pro or here the M Performance model, have it also here darkened out. It's also different. Tanzanite blue is this very vehicle color. And you can see already if you have the M Sport pack, you get a lot of high gloss black here. This one here you can see is, guess what? Yes, the all electric model, because there, this area is completely closed. That's the only thing where they differentiate. And here you can see that this not have the same light appearance like the M Performance model there. So it's always like base model, M Sport Pro, and then the M Performance models, which also have really more power under the hood. So the all-electric one, soon all the facts and figures about that one. We have a separate piece inside then with this car here very soon coming up. Interesting or main fact is that it has a 141 kilowatt hour battery, massive, and EPA figure 435 miles on the official driving cycle would mean about 700 kilometers. That's more like the 60 miles an hour, 100 kilometers an hour motorway range. And yeah, very promising. And soon we can give you more details about that. Then we have a white vehicle here, or with a special paint. This one is the hydrogen electric version. It will probably not be the best seller. It's a project, special project there. I'm not sure if that really makes sense. Some have high hopes for it, but the problem is we already have infrastructure problems with all electric vehicles and they are catching up. If it then makes sense to make a hydrogen version, that is definitely up for discussion, but this one will also be available. Then we have here the pure combustion engine side. This one here is the pure petrol version. 400 horsepower, 5.3 seconds in the acceleration figure, the famous 3-liter inline 6-cylinder. And there you can see once again opening right there. And this one is not M Sport, and that means we have here the lower part. This is the normal black plastic, which would be high gloss black in the M Sport package. And here, no M Sport Pro. Here we have the brighter double kit in. So this one is Indianapolis red. Also good to know that. And this one is the diesel, inline 6-cylinder diesel. And there you can once again see the good difference. Black plastic here in the front fenders, and it will be also accounting for the side fenders, whereas here with the M Sport package you have everything then in high gloss black again, and this one is once again then also with the darkened out kidney in the front, means that this one is also then this M Sport Pro package. So some exterior differences, but the main theme is that they say no matter which powertrain you get, they will all look more or less the same. We can also take a look at side profile here, and then the rear here you can see base look. I think it's not bad, it's an SUV. Then you get here the normal black plastic, whereas with the M Sport you have it then here painted in body color. It's of course a little bit more premium. Then again, some prefer actually the little bit more raw look with an SUV, and the same also goes for the rear. If you have M Sport or M Sport Pro, you have it here then in high gloss black, also then this area Whereas with this one then, more base model here, X540, pure petrol, you have then here the normal plastic look. So tell me, which one do you prefer? Then you can see here also in the rear, nice light signature. Counts for all the vehicles. You have 21 to 23 inch wheels. Soon I'm going to talk about that. This, by the way, here, this new X structure they also revealed here. And we are here in the BMW Spartanburg plant in South Carolina, where this vehicle is actually being built. The whole X5 family, and also then exported to the whole world from here. This one here is, by the way, the whole complex behind me, the biggest BMW plant in the world. It's even bigger than the ones they have in Germany. Yeah, that's also very interesting. This one again here, the iX5, the electric one, new xDrive logo, and here the performance model then looks a little bit different. Although this is just the 6-cylinder, it has massive pipes here in the lower part. Also no job for the Autogefühl fake exhaust release. And then you can see M60E, then here for the M performance model. So there is an M performance model for the plug-in hybrid. There will be an M performance model for the pure electric one. And there will be the M performance model for the pure combustion engine with the V8. That's the only one that we do not have yet on display here for you today. And suspension info. The base suspension is already an adaptive suspension, which is in a stiffer trim with the M Sport package. Then you have a little bit sportier. Optional, the adaptive air suspension. And in Europe, you get it together in a package with a rear axis steering. Up to 3.5 degrees, it steers then in the opposite direction than the front wheels. In the North American market, they do not offer the rear axis steering unless you have an M performance model. For these, you can get it. And for BEV, for the electric, for the plug-in, and for M performance models, you can also get active roll stabilization on top of that. And let's quickly move here to a little bit calmer studio to have a deep dive into some facts and figures. Also more about the iX5, the electric version. This one here in Tanzanite blue, a very nice, elegant dark blue color. This vehicle does not only have the M Sport package, but also the M Sport Pro. In that case, then with the M Sport Pro, here the double kidney, the frame is also darkened out. That means when the light is off, it's completely dark. But here you can see once again the illumination around with the double kidney, and here then in the horizontal way. The X here, you can have it like this. If you don't like the X, you can also delete the X signature, so to speak, and only have the diagonal bars. Only the indicators or hazard lights, they will always be in the X shape. The M Sport and M Sport Pro have the black contrast here in the lower part. Otherwise, in the base version, it looks then a little bit different. And well, the other colors are of course also very nice. We personally like the Brooklyn Grey by BMW. Probably if we go for another BMW, we would also go for the Brooklyn Grey. Then the length here is at 4,99 meters, 197 inches. It's more or less the same like before. Wheels, interesting, 21, 22, 23. These in the middle, 22 inch. And the interesting thing is, especially for the iX5, for the electric one, as soon as you go here for the 22-inch wheels, you get the wider wheels. So you would have 255 base in the front, 275 here now, so a 20mm jump. And then here in the rear, the jump is even 30mm wider. And that is really crucial, because if you go for the electric version, that means if you stick with the 21-inch wheels, you will have the best possible range. Very important, and especially for the electric customers, and of course it gives you a little bit more comfort. Quickly here to the rear, M Sport package also has the black contrasts, and here in the lower part, then the light signature looks a little bit different, by the way, in the M Performance models, but all others have it like this. iX5 60 means this one is the electric version, and 60 then for this powertrain, which is at 4.6 seconds in the acceleration figure. So unlike the before figure we had, which was at 4.7, they found out that they could make it even a little bit quicker then. And here, interesting new CI for the xDrive. So it was a little bit different in the logo before. Now it's a more, let's say, simplified look than here for the xDrive. And Let's talk about the iX5 here from the specs and so on. So the battery is at 141 kilowatt hours net. That's the usable size. They also got something more of that as well. Before it was 140, now 141, the final spec. So sometimes when we are in that very first studio episode, something still evolve, you know, and these are then the concise figures. Then here the frunk, you have to unlock it twice. Unlike with Mercedes, sadly, you cannot press the logo or something. That would have been cool, right? So this manual opening, and then you have this cover here with nice second BMW logo. The inside quality, this will be changed. This is still a preliminary car, basically, but here you can house a charging cable, but actually not much more. So there, for example, Mercedes offers a better frunk solution. Then about charging. So they could make the DC maximum charging figure now up to 460 kilowatt. That's of course pretty cool. Yep. Pressing here, electric charging flap. This is here the US spec. Otherwise you would have to split that in AC and DC for the European market, for example. AC charging is up to 22 kilowatt. That is also standard. And then as I said, 460 kilowatt DC charging. 10 to 80% state of charge in 23 minutes. And that is really cool here for such a large battery at 141 kilowatt hours. As for the promised range, so the official WLTP EU cycle is 845 kilometers. That one, however, is not that realistic. It would be realistic in city traffic. Well, city traffic is a realistic case, so the official thing when you usually drive the car could maybe work. But it's more important to have a range figure on the motorway. And the EPA figure, the US cycle, is at 435 miles, which would translate to 700 kilometers. And that one is a realistic figure, as I expect. And also if you look at other vehicles, how they were rated by the EPA. When you go like motorway, 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour. Of course, as soon as we can drive that one extensively, we will do even more range tests and so on. But I think if we can somehow calculate with motorway driving with some 600 kilometers plus maybe, or some 400 miles plus, that will be a realistic thing here for the BMW iX5. So it will be a game changer here in this not only SUV, in general, the large EV segment. General large EV. Big discussion at the world premiere, of course, about the door handles. And there are some things about these doors and the windows that are standard, some things only for certain powertrains, and some things are optional. Let's bring some logic in that. So first of all, you will always have these door handles on the top part here. Similar to the Volvo EX60, but not the same. When you have the automatic doors, like this vehicle is equipped to, that's an option, the fully automatic doors. Then you can press from the outside, that would be one solution. You can also press again to close it. But you can also pull, that's also possible, like a little bit here, and they also open automatically. And you can also press on the inside, that will also work. If you don't have the fully automatic doors, and honestly, I don't need them, so then you just pull here and pull them open like this. At least I have to say, in contrast to these flush door handles that disappear, they are always there. I'm more a fan still of the classic door handles, the very classic ones. But if I have to choose between the flush door handles and these, maybe these are even handier. We have to see about that in daily use. And in case of everything is failing, these are still somewhat manual, because like when you would really like when the electrics are off, then you could, like really pull them out and they would mechanically move. It's also interesting to know. What they have standard is soft close. Here it's hard to show you because they are fully automatic and then they move at somewhat, so I have to be very gentle. So here the last bit, here the soft close, that is actually also standard for all models, even if you don't have the fully automatic doors. And now it gets even more interesting. So I'm also a fan of laminated windows, of these acoustic windows, and we have them here actually in the front. You can see this thick one here. And we also have them, was that in focus? Did that work?
Yeah.
Good camera, and good camera woman, of course, even the best one. And here then in the rear, also lamination. And that is standard for the electric, the BEV, the iX5, the plug-in hybrid model, and for the M Performance models. And the M Performance models, There will be an M performance for the plug-in, for the electric one. That makes sense then with the windows. But you will also get a petrol M performance model, a V8. So they will have the lamination in the windows. That's great, and that's also standard for them. That's awesome. What's not awesome is that if you have a pure petrol or a pure diesel, then you will not get this lamination in the windows. And that's a little bit sad. I think it would have just been easier also. And we're standing in the plant here, by the way, where the car is being built. I think it would have been easier just to give all customers that and make it standard all across. The logic is that, hey, if you don't have like if you have a louder car basically from the engine, maybe you don't notice. I would probably still notice on the German Autobahn when I drive fast. And what I also recently learned is that that these laminations here, they also block UVA rays. That is also better for your skin long term and so on. And they're also better, against heat when the sun is coming from the side and maybe that the interior doesn't get that hot. So yeah, interesting aspects for sure. Then inside of the doors, let's take a look here. In this case with the microfiber inserts here, and rather classic for the window levers, 4 times electric door closing sound. Yeah, this hydrous black, maybe not, you see it collects a lot of fingerprints, maybe not that nice. And also here, we need some fabric inserts at the inside of the doors, I would say so. Then M entry badge, since this one is the M Sport pack. Then we also have the M Sports steering wheel. This is the one from the looks that is most normal because it has the spokes there. However, in this case here, it does not get the perforation, and this is also the animal material, strangely again. It is not as soft as the Veganza material from all other steering wheels, and it doesn't have perforation. So you have the base steering wheel in black, then you have the sport steering wheel in black with perforation. I would probably go for that one. Then you have the white steering wheel without perforation, and these 3 are in Veganza animal-free trim, and the material is even softer, more pleasant to the skin. And then you have here the animal skin steering wheel in the M Sport with, let's say, a little bit different design here. In the iX3 and the i3, they are all from the Veganza. Here they went a different direction again, not sure exactly why. Yeah, but just that you have this overview about the steering wheel. This is the tattoo full color, the brown color. In this case is the animal skin, but you can also get a wide variety of choice of Veganza interiors. We can show that to you now actually for, at the other cars outside. General cockpit overview. General cockpit. You have the main infotainment unit. There has been discussion of, do you need to cut it out like this? And it's of course not necessary, but then again you have a unique selling point because everyone, like so many manufacturers, nowadays put the big tablets in the interior, that this one then looks a little bit different from that perspective. Optional passenger screen, you can see it right there. I probably would not take it, but you can if you like, and you cannot see it that well as a driver because this one kind of like overlays the passenger screen, and that's also meant to, that you don't look at that one as the driver. And then in the very front you have the panoramic vision, so the digital instruments move further away in the long focus, and that is good, that is formed for this function. And you also have, if you like here, a head-up display that you can still see like in a very long focus. This is like the basic logic. On the steering wheel itself, these buttons here are helpful on the one hand because this is how you can easily do the parking feature, and they only appear if they are available. Then again, the feedback and the visual part of it is not my favorite one, so to speak. What I found quite cool is here this slate interior, it's a real slate, feels quite nice. In this very interior, what I found a little bit irritating is the 2 different colors of brown with the microfiber and the animal skin. Yeah, maybe not my favorite one, but as I said, there are plenty of other choices. And now here, super interesting, these here are the seats that come standard with the M Sport pack. So the logic is as follows. You have a base seat that is called the Sport seat, the one you can see right here. Has here good bolstering on the side and so on. This is the so-called Veganza material. It's a leather-free material, it's a man-made leather, very good soft quality, perforation for passive cooling. And with the M Sport pack, you also get this Alcantara insert here on the top part. This is very cool. And I talked to the project leader just now, and he says that actually the seating depth right here at the crucial sit bone area will be the same for the base sport seat and for the optional multifunctional seat, which is also available with Veganza and also with animal leather. So both are available with both seats. And the difference is more the functionality. So here, for example, here the length here in the front part, this is manual with the sport seat, with the base seat. This will be electric with the multifunctional seat. And also here, the head restraint is manual up and down, and this will be electric then with the multifunctional seat. And while this one here can also be heated, same way here, heated steering wheel, heated seats, the multifunctional seat can also be cooled. This is of course also a very crucial feature, and this will be a package. So when you go for the multifunctional seat, you will get the seat cooling, the electric control of the front area, and the head restraint. Wouldn't be that important to me, but the seat cooling would be very important to me. So I really like the base sport seat, and comfort-wise, it's really super comfortable. The seating depth here in the like here in the sit bone area is really good. So it's also good for long journeys and so on. So great comfort already with the base seat. That's the important thing. And that also here the animal-free material is really high quality. I would probably look into the multifunctional Veganza seat then to have the seat ventilation. You know, yeah, we've recently experienced it with the heat waves both in Europe and also in North America. That this is a feature that becomes more and more important. And in Asian markets, it's also considered a luxury even more. For example, a good insight is the South Korean market is the market worldwide that pays most attention to, is the seat also ventilated. And the good thing is that BMW shows that you can get the animal-free seat also with all the options you can possibly get. This is then also way to go to offer these alternatives. Also important to know here, beautifully done, is a leatherette, the Veganza covering for the dashboard. Here the X and this the stitching here. And then the whole dash here, for example, and also inside of the doors, this is all then Veganza. If you go for the animal equipment, then you have it in the microfiber, and most probably will go for this one because it's easier to keep clean, and I think it's from the color, no matter if you go for dark like here or brighter, it mixes a little bit better, because when you have the rougher surface and the thick surface, it always has somewhat a different color, you know what I mean? But this then always looks more or less like monocolor, and I think this is well done. So the important message is that you can go for base versions, or then a lot will pick the M Sport package, and then it will look like this, and you can easily live with it, and that you already have great seating comfort in the base seat. Will only be a question of if you want to go for seat cooling or not. Yeah, and the Veganza material really works well across the vehicle. Here, by the way, also interesting, we have more of the slate material right there. Then 4-dot cup holder design that also keeps the bottles tight and stuff. 2 USB-C chargers. This is the inductive charging pad with MagSafe. And there's also a cooled ring around that. It's also very important, of course. Here, this is the Veganza Sports steering wheel. You do have these vertical spokes, which are kind of unusual, but this is the only steering wheel that has the perforation here, and that feels so much better, has so much sportier grip while driving. And whereas I don't appreciate the design of this steering wheel, it's maybe too futuristic, you get used to it a little bit. I really love here the material, the Veganza material when it's animal free, and also here, how you can grab in with your thumbs is awesome to control the vehicle, and it teaches people to go 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock. So in this case, probably that would be my steering wheel. And this is here the Veganza seat, the animal-free seat in the multifunctional trim. So we have here the hallway Veganza, here in the bright color as well. That looks amazing. This is here then the electric function, front and back, for this front leg part. And you can see here, it's much softer in the sit bone area than the animal skin material, and yeah, feels softer and is better for the sit bone area. This is probably a seat that I would go for. We also have the seat cooling in here. I can also feel it. It needs to be stronger for all the seats. I have to report that back to BMW. And of course, you don't have it here in the frontal area, but you have it in here in this whole area. Yeah, so this is, I think, probably the most preferred seat that is available here for the X5. Looks great, feels great, and yeah, at least we have some ventilation here, even though it could be stronger. But that's, yeah, really cool. And one more trim here for you, Vancouver green on the exterior. This one here also in the base trim, where you can see also the normal plastic fendering. But the contrast to that is that we here have the largest 23-inch wheels. But then again, the non-M Sport trim, you can see it right here. And the interior trim here, yeah, the automatic doors, they have the sensor that they won't open then. So here we go. This is the sports steering wheel once again with the perforation in Veganza, and then these also the Veganza seats, full Veganza, where you don't have the Alcantara on the top part like in the M Sport, but here all the way covered. Then the perforation here with the passive cooling, active cooling once again only with the multifunctional seat. This one also once again with a manual lengthenment in the lower part. And here you have this brown color, so different colors are available just to show you even more trims than that you also have the choice. Then the rear seats, also very interesting. How soft are they actually here also from the seat? Whoa. So really have to say also in the rear, this is a great comfort also from the sit bone area. And you also see that the whole bench is curved a little bit, and that looks a little bit weird, but is actually very comfortable. So we've been talking about this initially, the difference between iX3, iX5 and also the GLC, and the rear comfort here, that is a crucial thing where we've asked me, wait, why would I need to go for the segment above that? This would be a reason you have more rear seating comfort. Not necessarily more legroom. You can see here these cutouts are very clever, you know, these cutouts here on the seat, and also the back part. It is a hard material, but it is a high quality hard material, let's say it that way. It feels different than, for example, like lower of the inside of the doors or something. So this feels quite nice. Not too much legroom for such a large vehicle. Yes, that's true. But these cutouts are cleverly used, and really gotta say, sometimes, for example, Leah is driving when we are at the event, and then I sit in the back because it's safer to work with a laptop there, that you're not in the front with the airbag, because you should never work with the laptop in the front passenger seat while the airbag is turned on, because otherwise it blows in your face. So then I'm sitting here in the rear, and this is often not that comfortable with a lot of vehicles, but here definitely stepped up the comfort also to the segment below that. And then also when you have the air suspension, this will make it even better. So yeah, once again here also the seating depth, the softness of the Veganza materials. This is really, I'm actually surprised how comfortable it is in the rear, and also because we've been comparing it to the previous generation. So if you ask me, the main difference to the previous generation is that you really have more seating comfort in the rear. It's very interesting. Here, by the way, you also have these manual shades here. These work as well, and in the middle part you can fold on this 4-dot cup holder design. So yeah, I'm actually quite happy. Let's see about the adjustment. That's just like it is right here. So yeah, and this is also not then not the electric one. So yeah, that's the only thing you could adjust here, nothing more. In the lower part, by the way, you have also inductive charging pad, again with this cooling ring around, and also very important, seat heating for the rear passengers and the separate AC unit. You can also set the climate individual, right and left passenger in the rear, so that's also important. And last but not least here, the middle seat is a little bit harder. Space-wise, it works for 5 adults. That's no problem. You can also see it here from the headroom right there. Now to the trunk or the boot. 655 liters for the iX5, 650 liters here for the combustion engine. Only the plug-in hybrid would have a step right here with then 525 liters. So the plug-in hybrid loses capacity in height. All others are more or less the same. Here also fits in underneath. Then this one here is a manual roller like this, but it's fine. Also is sliding on this part here. Then we have the measurements in the width here. We are at, it's like 1 meters 1043 inches, very wide. It's also different to the iX3, for example. Then here we have a length of 1 meters 5 or 42 inches. Underneath here with the combustion engine, we can fold this one up, but the also the iX5 has a little bit space underneath it. This also looks like that it could fit some replacement tires, maybe. And this is also being held up here. That's also a very interesting part. There we go. No remote folding here, however, but you can reach over like this and like this. There's also no cargo position here for the seats whatsoever. Then we have here in the height, we are at 29 inches, 74 centimeters, and the absolute, the total length here, we are at 74 inches or well, almost 190 in meters. Let's start driving with the petrol 3-liter 6-cylinder, and here sport mode from 30 to 45 mpg. mph. That's it. Yeah, that was quick. Here with 400 horsepower, 5.3 seconds, 0 to 100 is the acceleration figure. And we're going to try to experience how different is it from the previous generation X5. We know this engine, of course, has been refined, new suspension, of course, new axle and everything. Here we're driving the air suspension. If we are in that sport mode here, we also have a sportier setup. We have it in combination here with the 22-inch wheels. These are already the larger wheels in the width, so they're wider. And the 23 would then also have a different diameter. Let's see how they also drive then. And it's still here relatively flat at the moment. Sport suspension then here in the setting is still fine. You can do a lane change here. Let's see here how the car is shaking up or not shaking up. Really stable. The steering has actually been fine-tuned as well. So that's also something that we experience, for example, from combustion engine X3 to iX3. That the steering now is a little bit more precise, you know. And what I also like is here when we go to the different modes. Here, for example, in the personal mode, it's very important to me as well. And I know a lot of you guys have been asking for it. I can configure my personal mode, and then, for example, say chassis, so the suspension to soft. That works both when you have the standard adaptive suspension, but also the air suspension. But then the steering to sport. So here in the sport setting, I have a little bit more feedback then. It's not so much like steering through thin air. Let's see the difference here. It's a little bit softer, but still it's soft, but right? Left, okay. Yeah, we're going on a test route here now. This is still a prototype vehicle. I also have test engineer in the rear. Leah has the front seat as always. And now we can go for the next corner very soon. Here also very smooth braking, and also how the gears are being shifted down. That's always very important to me when driving combustion engines, because sometimes you have setups then when you like approach the next red light and you reduce speed, and sometimes you get whoop, and that's not happening here. That's to me very important to have this smooth driving feeling with the combustion engines. So here you can live with both setups. Probably Leah's setup would be to have it on the comfort steering, and my setup would be here on the sport steering. And I would also keep the chassis to comfort. You do feel a notable difference when you set it to sport here now, then like these very small movements of the vehicle. You feel like some small bumps in the road. When there's on the sport mode, that's a little bit rougher, but that might be fun, for example, for alpine roads. Because sometimes we had that recently. iX3 always has the sporty setup because it has no air suspension. And the GLC EQ, for example, has the air suspension. Was great running straight, but then when we go some alpine passes, we were like, for the passengers, maybe not so cool, sportier with the iX3, but here then you're also flexible when you can set it to the sport setup, and you can also do that in the GLC EQ, yes, but you feel that the Mercedes air suspension is usually set to a floatier scheme, whereas the BMW air suspension is already somewhat sporty in the comfort setting. Right? Next, right? So yeah, it's fun to play around with that one, and then you can find your personal mode. Let's see here in the corner. How is it for Leah when I'm in the corner with the comfort setting?
Yeah.
It's fine?
It's fine, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing, you know. So yes, maybe you don't have the most floaty feeling, but especially for the passenger, it's actually better when it's not so floaty in the air suspension setup. You know, also when I, let's say, try to shake up the vehicle here like this, a little bit right, left. Maybe this for once here, people don't think I'm crazy because this car has the prototype camouflage around, so people see, there's something going wrong with this guy driving in the front probably, right? You know? Because sometimes when I'm driving the final vehicles and do some, I mean, I'm always safety first, yeah, but sometimes I'm doing crazy stuff on the road. Not unsafe stuff, but maybe crazy stuff. So they at least know that some testing is going on here. Yeah, but I think they both work. So depending on what you like, if I do some right, left here now, yeah, the car stays really, really calm. And the funny thing is, they have all powertrains here in one car, and somehow you feel that. The combustion engine here, the petrol, will be the lightest, so there will be like somewhat 400, 500 kilograms lighter than the electric one. Let's see if we feel it, because we're soon going to hop onto the all-electric one. But what I can already say right now is that this vehicle here drives a little bit more like an electric vehicle in comparison to before. And I don't mean that in a negative sense. I mean that in a smoothness sense. Because with a lot of vehicles, you feel like, the electric version is really smooth in accelerating and decelerating, at least when you control it in the proper way, not like hammering it all the way through. And then the combustion engines more have this rather rough old school feeling. But here what I feel in comparison to the previous generation, that it is a little bit more refined, you know, how the acceleration and the braking is taking place. It's a little bit smoother. Hammering in the indicator, by the way, is a lot of fun. And yeah, I definitely have to say that steering is more fun, and also here the power delivery, you know, they adapted the all-wheel drive system, you know, how the car is pushing out of the corners. You still feel that classic rear-wheel bias. And you know that a lot of manufacturers are going away from these classic all-wheel drive systems, even from for their combustion engine models, also because of some, you know, emission rules and new technology. And here you still have, you clearly feel the rear-wheel bias when you go out of the corner. And as a good comparison, before we have been driving the X7 the past days. Then just when we went with our X3 in the workshop, we had the X5 as a replacement from the previous generation, so you can really very well control that. So this one here, the new generation, feels to me a little bit more refined and, let's say, settled on the road. I always like to use the term like sovereign on the road, so it feels even more planted. And that is what I mean by that. It feels more electric, but not in a way that it's, oh, beautiful old Jaguar XK8 was one of my favorite vehicles, actually. One reason why I started to go being a car enthusiast. Here now, for example, here in the slide right corner, I know exactly what I'm doing, and it is not sporty in a way that it becomes uncomfortable to drive it, but it's definitely more engaging than most of the SUVs. And just been talking to the engineers, and they say that one of the goals was to make the car feel smaller than it actually is. And I think that works, because I'm not sure how Leah sees it, but I mean, the cockpit and everything, the steering is iX3, like we know it from the iX3. And if you would close your eyes now and just like from how the car is moving, could you tell if it's the iX3 or the X5 or the iX5? No. That's the thing, you know? And usually when you jump to a different segment, you could directly tell, okay, that's the bigger, that's the bulkier car, and maybe it has more luxury features, but it feels bulkier. Yes, the iX3 here, in very tight corners, it will still be more agile when you go head to head. But especially if you have maybe like a week or two between having driven these cars, and especially when we just like an hour ago or 2 hours ago, we drove the X7. And yes, they built on the same platform. Yes, it's a little bit longer car, but we also drove the X5. So this one indeed feels smaller, more agile, and just at the same time also super relaxing, because when it's a little bit sportier and more agile, you don't necessarily have to use that potential, you know? So when you're driving it in the calmer way, then it kind of feels like nothing, you know?
It's so silent.
It's very silent, you know? Although the combustion engine should not have the laminated windows. It should not. No, it doesn't, yeah, just as expected. And I mean, they're already quite thick. And we're also going to try some highway very soon as well. But when it's already silent in the non-laminated windows, looking forward to jump over to the iX5 then soon to see how the difference is there. You don't feel too much noise from the engine anyways, only when you really, hit the throttle. So yeah, I was thinking, why didn't they go for the lamination in the windows also for the pure combustion engine? I think it would have been a good use case of that. But at least we can say it's already silent, even if you don't have that. Oh, what a beautiful road here in front of us, right? So, yeah, really a joy. And that brings us also back to the topic of what might be our next car when the lease of the X3 plug-in hybrid is over. And you know, there is this... Leah is smiling. And you know, Leah is the fan of the GLC EQ, you know, pretty much.
Yeah, it's tough.
And iX3 was also on the table, but this one here gives you the air suspension carpet does a lot of difference, right, in comparison to the iX3, for example. Even more so maybe
and
soon in the iX.
cooling.
Seat cooling, I have of course the seat cooling. It could be a little bit stronger, I feel. We have level 2 at the moment, that it's not too loud for you, but let's try level 3 here. Because that's also something in the previous generation, X5 and X7, the seat cooling is not really that strong. Audi
had Q7 it was.
In the Audi's even worse probably. And the thing is that, for example, all the new Chinese brands, they have like the seat cooling, like we blow you out of the seat. But that might be helpful in recent heat waves in Europe or in the US here as well. So level 3 is a little bit more notable now, but yeah, maybe for some very hot days it could be a little bit stronger from the seat cooling, but it's still very good to have that, and unfortunately we don't have it. Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's always good to have an agile car that you can react quick on someone mowing the lawn on the side of the road. Yeah, you know, stuff like this always happens when you're live on tape on Autogefühl, definitely. So, yeah, really enjoying the ride here in the all-new X5. Looking forward so much to compare it now with the iX5, and of course, some highway driving is to come yet as well. Now it's time to go with the iX5, the all-electric one. We also go to the sport mode. Oh, the bolsters also closed a little bit. We are also with the multifunctional Veganza seats now, which are more comfortable from the sit bone area. And now we can do some 0 to 40 miles. Road is clear. Let's go. Everyone hold on tight. Sport mode is fine. Yeah, because 4.7 seconds to 100. We won't do that now, but let's go. Whoop, that's it. That was 0 to 40 miles an hour. So, yeah, 0 to 60 kilometers an hour. I would say it's quick enough. Yeah. Really, I mean, we know that the GLC EQ, for example, is even quicker, but you don't really need any more power than that. Sport mode, of course, everything of that is tuned. Once again, you can have a personal mode. And here, you see the EV quicker than the petrol, of course. And yeah, in the personal mode, we can, there it is, configure. Yeah, we can once again do this chassis to comfort, but steering to sport. That feels similar then, and looking forward to now, because this one is also equipped with the air suspension and also with the 22-inch wheels. How much different does it ride, and will we feel the weight difference, for example? So far not, but let's see in some more corners and so on.
Smooth stop is
Yeah, smooth stop. Good point by Leah. Smooth stop is when we stop not by using the friction brakes, but we use it by the recuperation of the electric motor until 0. And then the difference is when I'm in the normal D mode and I lift the brake, then it creeps forward. And I could pull it here to the B mode. I could do the same in the combustion engine, of course, but here the B mode then is the one pedal driving. Strongest recuperation and one pedal stop to 0. If I'm in the D mode but go energy recovery D high, then it's also hard recuperation, but no one pedal driving. No pedals here behind the steering wheel. Everything is set in here in the menu. Probably you said it once. I like to go with the low setting. It's more, let's say, combustion engineer-like, and then I tune the rest with the brakes. And you can do, in both cases, do the smooth stop. And here, the traffic is going, like the big trucks and so on. Here they're going like, I don't know, like 50 miles an hour or something. And we hardly hear anything here from the inside, because now here with the BEV, you remember the interior part, we have the lamination, we have the acoustic windows, both front and in the rear. Once again, here prototype vehicle, that's why something is still, you know, covered and so on. Right? Next,
Yes.
right?
Let's try the interstate.
Oh yeah, let's try the interstate, definitely. Even more interesting here than with the EV, also with, you know, the consumption and so on later on. And yeah, it's super silent. So here or next one? No, yes, right.
The interstate, the next one.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. And we were already wondering in the combustion engine, which did not have the lamination, that was still already super silent. I was thinking like, how's that possible? You know, that you have the, like this silent atmosphere, although you don't have the lamination. And we found something, you know, very interesting new information here, exclusive for Autogefühl viewers. Leah, you may find it in the menu, because I have to concentrate on the traffic, because the police is right here. So we have active noise cancellation here. And now the even better thing is, we had the discussion in the Volvo EX60 lately, that the noise reduction is so strong that it's sometimes unbearable if you're sensitive. Here, you can deactivate or activate it on demand. You can choose if you want to have it. And first of all, it's not that extreme like the Volvo setting. So it's not, because in the Volvo EX60 I felt like it's like someone is like sucking a vacuum away from your ear. Here it's super silent, but it's pleasant. And it's like the setting in the EX90 or in the Polestar 3, where they also have that, but not so extreme. But I was always wondering, and also talked to the Polestar and Volvo guys, and like, why don't you just do a software deactivation for people who don't want to have that? Because that's software. It's an easy thing to do. Luckily, BMW thought of that, and you can activate or deactivate it. And I wonder if I feel at least that I can feel it somehow. Maybe a little bit. Let's deactivate it again. It of course also always depends on the speed. I mean, it's silent in both cases. I would say, because I'm very sensitive to this issue, that maybe you feel it a little.
You can turn it off.
Yeah. I think honestly, I mean this one, especially with the lamination with the BV and the plug-in hybrid and the M Performance model, you do have always the acoustic windows. I think I'm a guy that would leave that off. I feel my ears are like somehow more natural and free with that option off. But that's when you're sensitive and Leah's making fun of me. But it's okay. I can live with that. Do you feel that or
No.
no? So now when I activate it, or maybe we should do some blindfold test by driving. But maybe next time I'm passenger, and then I keep my eyes closed, and then you activate and then I should tell when it's on or off or something like that. That might be a good idea, right?
Coca-Cola and Pepsi test,
Yeah. So here, at the moment it's on, and I feel also that when we are slowly driving, I would like to have it off. And now maybe when I'm here at 60 miles an hour, 100 kilometers an hour, now I feel it's fine and really helps me. Yeah, maybe I'm that guy who keeps turning it off and on all the time. I don't know. But here now, it's extremely silent, both from the passive and the active part. And once again, it's such a smooth driving experience. And funnily, because the combustion engine already was driving so smooth, you don't feel such a great difference between the powertrains, which is also desired.
Is the hands-free working?
Is the hands-free already working?
We can try it.
We can try. Let's see. Assisted driving activated. Let's see.
Depends a little bit on the...
Stay. Yeah. There we go.
Yay!
Yay!
Best feature.
I mean, this is
Concentrate.
Okay.
yeah. So wait a minute. I can. Is it?
Just if it...
Yeah. I just I'm. That's also a thing, This how's it called? Cooperative driving, I think it was, or symbiotic drive. It was called symbiotic drive. At least by the BMW marketing department. But what do they mean by that? Exactly situations like these, like, you have all the assistance systems in, and then you decide, I want to do a maneuver myself, and then you don't have to rip the steering wheel off, or the car is saying like, no, I don't want to do that. You can have this very smooth transitions between, now all the systems are in, and then you can take over again, and then you can go seamlessly back to the assistance systems. And so far, only BMW does that. Let's see if I think it should be. Yeah, that looks good. And I mean, it's really flawless how the car does that, and it's also relaxing. We have tested in the iX3 on long motorway drives. You can have your shoulders relaxed and let the shoulders just hang down, and that is really, really helpful.
Let's go a little bit towards Asheville.
Asheville.
We can go up and
We can of course also let the car do the Hier noch einer, oder?
Yeah.
Oh, ja, dann,
Because
sorry.
the car doesn't know that you
Okay.
We had to
Ja, den schneide ich raus, weil dann gibt es uns wieder Ärger. Genau. Yeah, automated lane change also worked very well, no problem. And you can also do that with looking into the side mirror. That would also work. And that is something where they are also ahead of the competition at the moment. They have the smoothest implementation of the assisted driving systems. And also this hands-free feature up to 130 kilometers an hour is working in the most flawless way. So that's pretty cool. So far.
The iX5 drives better than the...
Yeah?
Yeah.
Leah says the iX5 drives better than the combustion. In which way?
I don't know. It's
Even smoother?
Yeah.
I mean, we have more weight. Maybe that brings a little bit calmness. I mean, in very tight corners, you will probably still feel the weight. If you like would push it on the racetrack or something like that, then weight is everything. But here on the motorway,
And it's even more silent.
yeah, I mean, it is more silent
because
because
of
of
the-
the lamination. And oh yeah, at the moment the active noise reduction is in. Wow. I mean, we're driving 60 miles on the motorway. It feels like, you know, I'm just turning the car around on the parking lot or something, you know. And because the assistance systems are working so well, I always tend to activate them really. And it's so far only in the iX3 and maybe in the iX as well and here that I constantly turn them on. In most other cars, like, you know, I'd rather do the driving myself. Or when I have the assistance systems test and then Leah says, okay, Thomas, you're done. Now please drive yourself again because you can drive the car smoother. And here the new BMW assistance systems are the only ones where Leah says you can have them activated and you still feel fine and trust the car also when you're like a passenger, you know. That's really something. And you can really relax again. Yeah, something indeed. The Veganza seat here has more soft seating depth. So that's also a good finding here. Even more comfort with that. Oh, I hate these US mirrors, by the way. Like the regulations that they're just too close, you know. Like the European mirrors, they give you a better overview. At least like from the driver's mirror. And then you always have like the objects in the mirror are closer than they appear on the passenger side. That's also a little bit irritating. But you know, every country has its strange regulations. In Europe, the lighting regulations are fiercer than again when it comes to illuminated logos. Then again, the US has fiercer lighting regulations when it comes to high beam. It's crazy. Can't we just all agree on one regulation? I mean, yeah, sometimes it's really too tough for that. But definitely here, I mean, super smooth and silent, both from the noise installation, the passive one, the active one, then how the assistance systems is. They're not like any hectic regulations left and right. Everything is done in a very smooth way, and you can just let the car do its thing, you know. At the same time, it's also as much fun to drive. It's more explosive in the acceleration if you want to. Yet at the same time, you can either with recuperation or also with the brake itself, you can really fine-tune that you drive this car in a smooth way, although it's electric, because that's also a thing. When we are being shuttled on events and the shuttle drivers are driving electric vehicles the first time, you often end up being like being a passenger and like, oh, I'm getting sick. But this one, although it's big, heavy and so on, you can also like really fine-tune how you want to control the car. So can't believe these cars are passing and you don't hear them, you know. You really have to look where the cars are coming from that you actually see them, because you can't hear them because it's so well insulated. And now the efficiency test, the real world range for the electric version for the iX5 here for today. Very good conditions here. We retried like this 60 miles an hour, 100 kilometers an hour on the motorway. And then we're at 35 degrees Celsius, 95 degrees Fahrenheit, which is great for electric vehicles because the climate cooling down doesn't make so much difference. The air is thinner in these hot temperatures and the battery doesn't need to be heated. And at that point, probably also doesn't need to be cooled. So it's really optimum case for that. And it's even better than expected. Yes, these are optimum conditions. So when you drive faster and when it's colder, it will be less. But here in this case then, in this temperature at that speed, 18 kilowatt hours on 1 kilometer, that's 3.45 miles per kilowatt hour, would mean a realistic real world range, no fake, of 780 kilometers or 490 miles. That's even above the EPA figure. And that means that when it's, let's say, a little bit colder, it will easily reach the realistic EPA figure. And then, of course, we have to see when it's much colder, and also when we go German Autobahn and go like 80 miles an hour, 90 miles an hour, 130, 140 kilometers an hour, it will be lower, but it still will be much higher than many other, than probably most other EVs overall. So this is rather a case of you charge at home and you don't even care about that it charges fast because you don't need to recharge anywhere. You just recharge at home and then at destination, or you drive somewhere, drive back to where you live and recharge there again. And of course, even more extensive tests than soon on the German Autobahn, as soon as we can do that. Any questions you might have, we can also solve with the next driving part then here of the iX5. But this is already, this is really game changing. Very much looking forward to your comments, of course. What about the pricing? So the North American prices in US dollars, they are without VAT, so they seem a little bit more distant even to the European prices. But cars are also cheaper here than in Europe, definitely. So 72,000 US dollars is the entry price for the pure petrol version. And then the iX5, that one here, starts at just under 80,000 US dollars. If we hop over to the European prices, German prices, there we start at 95,000 euros for the diesel. That's including VAT though. Then we are just under 100,000 euros for the petrol. And the iX5, the all-electric one, is a little bit over 100,000 euros, which is kind of critical for the special taxation rule, for example, in Germany. So we're gonna maybe talk with our German friends about that. Yeah, and then the question is how much extra price goes there on top? This generation already has a lot of serious production equipment in comparison to the previous one. So if you want to spec a nice one, you can maybe add some 20,000 euros max. So the price difference from base to top version should not be as large as with the previous generation. So when you somehow calculate with about maybe $100,000, 120,000 euros list price, then you're basically finished full spec. Still not a cheap vehicle at all, but it will be very interesting because this one here does deliver more than the X3 or iX3 as for luxury features, air suspension, rear exit steering, lamination in the windows, cooled seats and so on. Then again, against the GLC EQ, for example, or GLC in general, because that sits now a little bit between the segments. This one then will be then, of course, priced higher than the GLC EQ also when we think about the electric version. But definitely will be interesting to see this fight between the different segments and between the different manufacturers. And we'll keep you updated with that with much more interesting videos. Thank you so much for tuning in. And best greetings, of course, also here, especially to our US friends where we filmed our episode here today. Yeah, around the birthday of the States as well. So happy 4th of July as well.